It was one of those excruciatingly cold New England mornings in 1964. A 4-day-old snow had turned to ice as it pressed against my bedroom window. In my 12-year-old sleepiness, I staggered through the dark hallway into the bathroom, hearing the truck's engine idling outside. Peering out, I saw his figure, a dark shadow moving against the white background. His breath clouding the air when he exhaled, his work boots crunching the hard snow with his giant steps, his dark face hidden beneath a knit cap. The upturned collar, the woolen scarf wrapped around his neck and chin, one gloved hand guided the ice scraper across the truck's windshield, the other brushed the shavings like a crystal beard from the truck's old, weathered face. Daddy, moving with a quick purpose, driven by a commitment and a responsibility taught him 35 years earlier in Depression-era Georgia. Daddy, a silent gladiator who was stepping once more into the hostile arena of the day's battle. Daddy, awake while the rest of the world was asleep. As he slid behind the steering wheel, driving carefully from the driveway onto the street, the truck was swallowed up by the dawn's dimness. As I returned to the warmth of my blankets, in my own bed, in my own room, I knew that I could go back to sleep, to dream, because Daddy was outside facing the cold. Throughout the many junior and senior high mornings that I watched my father go to work, I never told him how that vision affected me. I simply remained in wonder at his ability to do what he did, keeping the kitchen filled with food, making the payments of my music lessons, covering the car insurance so I could drive my senior year to school, piling the Christmas gifts beneath the tree, taking me to Boston to buy new clothes, dragging me to church on Sundays, driving me to visit college campuses on his day off, kissing and teasing my mother in the living room, nodding off in his easy chair in the middle of a sentence. Perhaps it was because of these scenes and that they seemed so ordinary that I never spoke of them, never weighed them beyond my own selfish adolescent needs. And then at college, away from him, when his presence became merely the voice over the phone during weekend calls, or the name scribbled at the bottom of a weekly letter stuffed with a $10 bill, I thought other men were more significant than Daddy. Those men who taught my classes in polysyllabic words, who wrote articles in journals and explained complex theorems and philosophies. Daddy never did any of that. He couldn't with only a third-grade education and a GED. My hero worship made me a disciple to Ivy League scholars who ignited my dormant ideas and dead men whose names were printed on book covers, buildings, and the currency I hungered to possess. As I traveled to Europe in my later college years, I realized I had seen more, had traveled farther, had achieved greater distinctions than Daddy ever had. I was filled with a sense of my own self-importance, puffed up with my grad school grants, diluted with degrees and accolades assigned to my name. Then I entered the formidable arena, the job, the relationships, the creditors, the pressures, the indignities of racial politics. And as I reached my late 20s, I looked forward to returning home, talking with Daddy, sharing a ball game, watching an old Western on television, drinking a beer, listening to stories about his childhood days in Georgia, hearing his warm, fulfilling laughter. I rediscovered Daddy again, not as a boy in awe, but in respect as a man. And I realized a truth that I could not articulate as a child. Daddy was always there for me. Unlike the professors, the books, the celebrity heroes, the mentors, he was always there. He was my father, a man who committed himself to a thankless job in a society that had written him off with statistics and stereotypes. When I reached my early 30s, when I became a father myself, I saw my own father with greater clarity. As I awoke in the early morning hours, compromised my wants, dealt with insults and worked overtime in order to give my son his own room, with his own bed and his own dreams. I realized I was able to do those things because my Father had done them for me. And now, when my son and I spend fleeting moments together at a movie, or on a basketball court, in church, or driving the freeway, I wonder what he thinks of me. At what point will I slip away from his world of important men? And will there be a point where he'll return to me in a nod of understanding? How will he measure my weaknesses and strengths, my flaws and distinctions? Will he claim me in the name of love and respect? The desires of a father for a son can be infinite. The journey from boyhood to manhood is often a small miracle. Along the way, a father serves as the signpost, the beacon, the barometer that measures the simple and the mysterious, the sublime and the chaotic. And if the son can survive one day in the arena as his father did, he will know that he can face the battle again the next day. For that is the nature of manhood. It is not some place that one arrives at like a scheduled train stop on a cross-country holiday. Manhood, like a river, runs true, moving towards its own end, taking its shape and form from the terrain it touches. Like a river, manhood has its recognizable traits: responsibility, commitment, integrity, compassion, just as it possesses its own individual, unseen qualities. My son and I are blessed in that we know well the source from where our rivers have come. And in those moments when the three of us were together, as I watched grandfather and grandson playing, I was overwhelmed by the ease with which my son fell into laughter. It was a laughter that spoke of the safety and worth he knew in his grandfather's embrace. It was the same laughter I shared with them both. Sentimental moments? Yes. But moments that were pure and sacred in the joy they brought to the three of us. Sometimes the simple lessons are the most difficult to teach. Sometimes the most essential truths are the most difficult to learn. I hope my son will one day cherish all the lessons and truths that have flowed to him through me from his grandfather. And as my son grows older, I believe that he too will measure his steps by the strides I have made for him, just as I have achieved my goals because of the strides my father made for me. When my son does this, perhaps he will feel the same pride and fulfillment that I do when I say, I am my father's son.